Kakekotoba. A Kakekotoba gwasai or pivot word is a rhetorical device used in the Japanese poetic form waka. This trope uses the phonetic reading of a grouping of kanji Chinese characters to suggest several interpretations, first on the literal level e.g. song, matsu, meaning pine tree, then on subsidiary homophonic levels e.g. daitsu, matsu, meaning to wait. Thus it is that many waka have pine trees waiting around for something. The presentation of multiple meanings inherent in a single word allows the poet a fuller range of artistic expression with an economical syllable count. Such brevity is highly valued in Japanese aesthetics, where maximal meaning and reference are sought in a minimal number of syllables. Kakekotoba are generally written in the Japanese phonetic syllabary, Hiragana, so that the ambiguous senses of the word are more immediately apparent. History. Pivot words are first found in the earliest extant manuscripts where poetic verse is preserved in written form. The earliest examples are from the Nara period. The provenance of the technique is unclear. However, it is likely it was already in common use in the period before writing was introduced, as part of the oracular poetic tradition. It is a technique devised to enrich the way of conveying a poem in a limited space. The general pattern is as follows: using the context of the sentence before the Kakekotoba and after it to create a new meaning. The Kakekotoba is translated to two different meanings by itself. Because it can be translated with different meanings, Kakekotoba translations can sometimes be meaningless by themselves and need a context to bring out their meaning, which was not considered a problem in the Heian period. Examples: Kaken Wakashu 571. Love to this poem, from the Kaken Wakashu, makes a pun that is translated explicitly in the English version. Kara here can mean empty shell or corpse, since the implied narrator's soul has left his body. Spelling this out in translation is the only way to express the pun to an English reader, but doing so destroys the subtlety that makes the original so poignant. Kaken Wakashu 639 from a poetry contest /Utawace, although the mix-up of tears and rain is a bit trite in Japanese poetry, Toshiyuki creates a new beauty from old fragments through the unusual verb kakateri drenched and the Kakekotoba on furisohachi, meaning both to fall and to soak through. The Kakekotoba is just one way through which poets are able to make unique and beautiful works of art despite working with a rather limited set of acceptable forms, styles, and references. Shikuba Kyojinshu 227–228 miscellaneous, though from a much later period, 15th century. This poem utilizes a multi-layered play on the literary term utamakura poem pillow. And utamakura is a place name that is described with set words and associated constantly with the same scenery, season, time of day, etc. The poets often kept notes of their favorite tropes of this sort. Two of the 6 poetic immortals of the Kaken Wakashu era were the priest Henju and Ono no Komachi, who were reputed to be romantically involved despite their competition. The literary term utamakura is here being used for one of its literal constitutive words, pillow, to imply that Henju and Komachi were sleeping together. The poem is also referencing similar scenes in the Gosenshu and Yamato Monogatari. Kakekotoba, as this poem shows, are often humorous displays of the writer's wit. In English, a similar technique is sometimes employed in both poetic and prose language. One contemporary example is, "They say conversation rule the nation. I can tell, but I could never right my wrongs unless I write them down for real." Kendrick Lamar Poetic Justice. This example only works when the line is heard, not read, because the spelling of the two words are distinct, right a wrong and right a wrong. Conversely, this line would have to be rendered explicitly if it was translated into another language where the two words are not homophones. Another contemporary example, Drake 0 to 100. In this example, the pivot word is based on the vernacular pronunciation of the words forest, and for us where forest alluding to the name Forrest Gump is pronounced with the final /t/ dropped, and the /r/ in both words /fray. Thus forest foos and for us foos with only slight differentiation in stress, which is basically neutralized in the song. This example is highly complex in that it would require 5 phrases to be rendered twice each, e.g. go forest and go for us, etc. And the final line, which reveals the play on words, what's one more quote for us, and what's one more quote forest. It is important to note that both these and the majority of Japanese Kakekotoba are highly dependent on vocal recitation, not writing. Notation. The term can also be written as xuan sai, but the gua sai form is more common.